What is up, guys? So I got a really strong positive response when I posted my very first video from here in the apartment, coming back from my long hiatus of not making any reviews. So I dug through the gallery and I found one little bitty gem of a review that I never posted, that I posted up, and I actually tested the 4K at 60 frames a second of my iPhone 11 Pro Max out on that video. And you guys enjoyed the quality, but I do have to say, for the sake of just fluidity, I don't think I'm going to do a lot of recording in 4K because a lot of people can't really take advantage of that through mobile data and their Wi-Fi bandwidth. So we're going to keep everything at 1080p at 60 frames a second. So I hope that's good. But we are back for the second night in a row to do another beer review. Now, you guys know, based on the previous videos in the channel, if this is your first time coming over to my channel and taking a look, I do beer reviews. I have done a couple dip reviews in back in the day. I don't really find much value in those anymore, but I do have one video that has well over 3,000 views on my stance as far as dip and if it causes cancer or whatever. So you can go watch it if you want. That's not what this is about, but for the most part, I do beer reviews. And if you go back and backtrack, I love cheladas. Okay, they're by far one of my favorite canned beers. I really love to make homemade micheladas when I have all the stuff. I can drink, several of those in a night if I make them homemade, and they're really good. But when it's hot outside and I just want to drink something refreshing, I always reach for a canned chelada. I feel like they're pretty good for what you pay for them. So I found this one, and as far as I'm aware, this will be the very first review on a beer I have ever done that Ronald Thoreau has not done a review on for Louisiana Beer Reviews. So maybe he'll see this one, go pick up a can, and give me his review of this one. Which, when I did my digging and saw that he had the old version that was a 12-ounce can only sold in Mexico, I was like, maybe he's done the new version, but I have yet to find it. So this is going to be the very first comprehensive review of a beer like this that I've been able to find. Everybody else kind of just drinks it and doesn't really, give you much information. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, on to the beer that we are going to be reviewing today. The one that we're going to do today is the Sol Chelada. Okay. Now, this one is different than the chelada that Ronald reviewed. So that one was Sol and Clamato, okay? So Clamato is a Mott's product. It's clam broth and tomato and spices, okay? And it's a copyrighted, thing by Mott's. And Clamato, or Mott's, has paired with Budweiser and has done all of their cheladas. Okay, so the lime, so it'd be the Bud Light chelada, the Bud Light lime chelada, then the Budweiser chelada, then the Budweiser picante chelada, and then I just found out they have a Budweiser mango chelada that I'm gonna have to go get and review. So I think that when they did that transition, they stopped working with Sol. So you can see on the can that there is a clam and a tomato. So I don't know if they're using some kind of knockoff Clamato, but nowhere on the can does it have the Mott's Clamato logo. So for those who don't know, this is imported by Cerveza Sol Imports, Fort Worth, Texas, which is actually brewed and canned by Cerveceria, however you say that, Moctezuma, which is the same people that brew beer for Modelo and Dos Equis, if I remember correctly, and a couple other of the Mexican beers. They're all pretty much, the big conglomerates are all brewed by that one brewery. So this guy is 3.5% alcohol by volume, so not very stout on the ABV. Really and truly, it's not. So this should be a pretty easy drink. Now, For this one, we are going to use my Oklahoma Sooners beer mug. There's really no sense in pulling out a dedicated glass for these because I'll explain it here in a minute. Now, this is not a Torture Trials review. This is just a straight up review. Okay, so it's going to get 2 ratings. It's going to get a rating for beers in general and then a rating for beers in the style. So it will be rated against every other beer I've ever had as beer, and then it'll be rated against every other chelada I've ever had head to head. Okay, so this one I literally just got. It's still freezing cold, and we're going to go ahead and give it a pour. So just like most other micheladas or canned cheladas that you will deal with, this one is this off pink color, almost like an orange. This one's got a whole lot of head, a lot more than some of the cheladas that I have done reviews on. So hang on, let me adjust this for just a second. I keep scooting forward on the couch and going out of frame. There we go. I got my tripod working, so y'all aren't propped up against anything. Y'all are actually on a tripod, and it feels nice not to have to prop it up and knowing that if I get a text message, it's going to fall over. So there is that. But this thing, super ton of head. It's very cloudy. It almost looks like grapefruit juice, if you will. And a lot of these, that's how they are. But there is not a lot of floaties going on. Actually, none that I can see. Whereas with the Budweiser and Clamato, there are always floaties in there. And the Modelo is actually really clear for what it is, and it's overly fizzy. So let's go ahead and we'll get a nose on this thing real fast. So salt and tomato, and maybe a little bit of lime. This says a flavorful, refreshing mix of Sol beer with tomato, natural lime, and spice flavors. Okay, so the clam is throwing me off. Why they would have a clam on the can if they're not going to add any clam flavoring doesn't make much sense, but it does say beer with natural flavors and artificial color. So that also has me kind of concerned there that this is definitely a knockoff tomato product. So let's go ahead and give it a shot, see what we got here. Bottoms up. Wow. Okay, so there is some clamminess in there. Not as much as like regular standard Clamato, but you do get a clam flavor from it. The salt flavor is really good. The lime is very subdued. There is not much lime flavor to speak of. It's very easy to drink. Holy mackerel are these. All of these, for the most part, aside from the Tecate Diablo, that one sucked. But all of these are pretty easy to drink. I do have to say, though, for this one, the mouthfeel is pretty thick, which is weird because it's very watery and it's thick and it's crisp, which doesn't happen a lot. Usually on a beer that has a thick, heavier mouthfeel, it's not going to be as crisp, and it's not going to be as watery. Sometimes it will even have a drying effect. But this one's extremely slippery. It does have a lot of salt, which kind of throws everything off, but it all plays really well together. I'm highly impressed with this one. You do get a pretty good bite. There it is. So the flavor profiling is tomato and then the clam, and then you get a really sharp peak from the carbonation and the lime, and then it just kind of slides off and you get a little bit of salt. So it's very well rounded. It doesn't have a whole lot of stuff going on. It's very upfront about what it is. It doesn't try to hide things. It's not very complex, if you will. The flavors that are supposed to be there are there, and they're there in the right proportion. I'm really impressed. I do think the alcohol content could be a little higher. I know when I make cheladas at home, I usually pick a beer that's pretty high on the alcohol scale, like Bud Light Platinum or something like that, or even like Bud Ice or something that's got a little bit more power, because when you start diluting it down with the Clamato and the Worcestershire, and you know what? I should probably do a video on how to make a homemade chelada, because I'm a beer review channel. So comment in the comment section and let me know if you want me to teach you how to make a true Hispanic from Mexico michelada. I will get all the ingredients and I will teach you guys how to make it. Comment in the comment section, let me know if you would like me to do a video like that. All right. So let's do ratings. For beers in general, I never usually rate these things pretty high because, yes, they are a beer beverage, but there's not much beer there to speak of. There's not much beer for you to really analyze. You're analyzing a cocktail. The only reason I include these in my reviews is because A, they're in a can, B, they're readily available, and C, they have beer in them. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and do a review on like a Black and Blonde or, you know, a Black Velvet Dress, a beer cocktail that adds whiskey or bourbon or whatever, because that's not what I'm about. It's really hard when you do a drink like say a Black Velvet Dress, which would be Guinness or some really, really hard oatmeal stout. Yeah, you can use an oatmeal stout, but a really hard stout. Usually an imperial stout's good. And then you add Fireball and a bourbon like Johnny Walker or, you know, something like that. Johnny Walker's a Scotch though, but it would work. Anyways, there's too much going on there to review it just as a drink. And I'm not a cocktail reviewing channel. I'm a beer reviewing channel. These ones get a pass because of this. They're in a can, okay? I don't have to make it. The only reason I would do a michelada review is because I've already reviewed a ton of cheladas on my channel anyways. So, but beers in general, these things usually don't rate very high. So this one is going to get a C+. It's kind of right there in the middle, a little bit above average because it does a really good job. It doesn't pretend to be something it's not. I don't like the fact that they're trying to mimic Clamato, but they did a really good job, you know. Walks like Clamato, talks like Clamato, it's Clamato, and it does a great job with it. So I'm going to give it a C+ for beers in general. But for the style, I'm going to go ahead and give this thing a solid A. I think it does a great job at being what it is. It's not overly gimmicky, you know, the can's well designed, it's presented well. I think it could have a little bit more alcohol in it, but that lends itself well to drinkability. It looks good in the glass. Flavor profiling is in the right quantity at the right time. So I'm going to give it an A. Yeah, I mean, I think I would probably take it over any of the Anheuser-Busch variants, but my absolute favorite one is always going to be the Modelo one, which isn't even close to a true michelada because it doesn't have clamato in it. It doesn't have the clam broth, which is a staple in micheladas. So C+ for beers in general, A for beers in the style. I do have one more that I'm going to record tonight. I may upload it tonight. I don't know. The last one took quite a while to upload, but it was a 36-minute video. So, sorry, got a shit going on. But I might upload it tonight. If not, I'll upload it tomorrow. And I'm going to try to get, the ball rolling with these reviews again, because it's something I really enjoy doing. It's better than sitting here watching TV and just, doing nothing. And on days like this where I'm off and I have a lot of free time, I've already gotten the shit done that I need to get done. Burping. Good Lord. It makes to where I have plenty of time to sit down and actually dedicate to a review. So this was my review of the Sol Chelada. And Ronald, if you're out there listening and I'm wrong and you have reviewed this one, I apologize. But if you haven't, which as far as I can see, you have not done a review of this particular one, you definitely should go pick it up and do a review and let me see what your take is on it, because I always enjoy watching your videos. You've been one of the inspirations for me to start my channel, and you've always been one of the first people to comment on my videos, and you've showed me a lot of support, so I appreciate it. But I'm not gonna lie, if you haven't done this one yet and I beat you to it, it would make me kind of happy. But we will see you guys in the next one. Y'all be good, drink responsibly, know that I don't support underage drinking, and have a good night.